Thank you and good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Peel Regional Police facility. As Canada's third or fourth largest municipal police service, Peel Regional Police continues to serve about 1.5 million people in this remarkably diverse community. We know that this regionally, statistically, from a crime severity index, is still one of the safest regional municipalities in Canada. However, that being said, the confluence of factors which cause problems in our communities are ones that require responses that are sometimes above and beyond our capability of often deploying officers and investigators to. Violent crimes and violent individuals and the nature of these incidents require a significant amount of resources and the skills to investigate them. And behind us, we have some of the 3,000 members of our organization that daily intend to mitigate risk in our community. Public safety is number one for Peel Regional Police Service. Today's provincial funding will help towards our comprehensive response to mitigating and addressing violent crime, specifically gun and gang crime in our community. These type of crimes are a broad confluence of issues stemming from criminal and social disorder. So having to tackle these issues requires a multiple-pronged approach in order to be effective. In addition to complex investigations and significant frontline efforts, mitigating risk, prevention, and social development aid the protection of our communities. And the outcomes of this ensure that the public feels safe and supports their sense of well-being while having the confidence that we are impacting street gangs in these communities. There are many, many public issues that are common across the communities within our region and across boundaries. This government funding will afford us the opportunity to continue to move forward with complicated investigations which demand many, many hours investigating violent crimes, while continuing to implement community safety issues and prevention issues in various initiatives. Working together with all levels of government is critical to both preventing and solving violent crimes. Public safety and this community's well-being are number one priority for Peel Regional Police. I'd like to thank the provincial government and the Premier and the Solicitor General, Attorney General for their efforts to continue to support us. We look forward to enhancing our response to this serious risk in our community, to further our vision here in Peel as being a safer community together. Now I'd like to introduce the Attorney General of Ontario, the Honourable Doug Downey.
Thank you, Chief Nish, and I want to take this chance to congratulate you on your appointment as Chief, to commend the work of the outstanding team that you lead here at Peel Regional Police Service. As a former guns and gangs officer in Halton, you bring a very sophisticated understanding of the growing and complex threat posed by guns and gangs and the violence in our communities. Gangs are finding new ways to recruit members, new ways to attempt to avoid detection. It's a real problem with real victims, and it shatters lives, it robs families and communities of the chances they deserve to grow. While the problem is growing, it's growing in scope and complexity, it's our job as justice partners to fix it. That's why we've come together here in Peel and in communities across Ontario to escalate the local fight against gangs who prey on young and vulnerable people. Across our government, we are determined to keep our families and communities safe by supporting local police and specialized prosecutors. One example is the intensive bail review teams that we've put in place. The intensive firearm bail review teams we know will make a real difference for the safety for everyone in our communities and everyone who calls this region home. We're, of course, led this critical work by our Premier, who has immediately recognized the urgency of the issue and who has pressed the Ontario government, all of us, to bring real concerted action. He moved right away to give frontline police officers more tools to crack down on organized crime and gun violence and gangs right across the province. For Ontario to prosper and grow, people must feel safe. They must feel safe in their homes, in the streets. Local businesses must feel safe. It must feel safe at local arenas, at our parks, in all of our community spaces. The Premier has been crystal clear about this. This is his priority. On that note, I know I speak on behalf of Solicitor General Jones when I say we're thrilled to welcome him here today to share his vision for fixing this growing and complex problem that threatens the future of our families and our communities. Premier.
Thanks. Well, thank you very much, Attorney General Downey, and it's a real pleasure to be here. Chief Nish, what a great job you're doing, and I'll tell you, we support you 1,000%. It's great to be here with Mayor Brown and Mayor Crombie and Chair Nando. Yeah, I know. I was going to say Chair Nando and Solicitor General. Just got to run through a couple MPPs, a team of all-stars, MPP Rudy Cozzetto, Nina Tangri, Sharif Sabawe, and Natalia Kusendova. You know, there's no secret. I absolutely love our police officers, and I'm proud to say 3 out of my 4 daughters are with police officers, so there's my bias right there as well. I have so much respect for what you do, your long hours that you put in every single day, and you put your lives on the line for each and every one of us every single day. You're always looking out for us, so our government is doing everything we can to make sure we look out for you. And make sure you have the tools and the resources you need to do your job and keep us safe. Today, we're bringing the fight against guns and gangs in Peel Region. We're investing over $20 million to strengthen community policing, to prosecute even more offenders involved in firearm offenses. This money will help our police officers work directly with the members of the public to improve safety. It will also allow our officers to target organized crime at its source and work with prosecutors to lock up the criminals. Today, this investment is part of our government's $195 million commitment to community policing across our province, and part of our provincial-wide strategy to fight guns and gangs, to bring violent criminals to justice, and make sure we keep our streets safe. I know these initiatives are top priority for the Chief. It's something he's been working on for many years, including his time over at Halton Police. Too many of our young people in Peel Region are being recruited and preyed on by these gangs. So we need to intervene early to stop the violence. Today's funding will give police additional support to go after the dangerous criminals and put them behind bars where they belong. And a message to the criminals that are watching us now: we're coming for you, we're going to find you, we're going to catch you, and we're going to lock you up for a long time. I'm going to hand it over to our great Solicitor General. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here in Peel Region today. From day one, our government has committed to providing our police services, frontline support agencies, and the communities with the resources you need to combat crime, support victims, and bring criminals to justice. Since coming to office in June 2018, we have made significant investments into community safety and victim supports in Peel Region. This includes funding to put more police officers on the street through the Ontario Safer Communities 1,000 Officers Partnership Program, keeping streets safer from impaired driving by enhanced regular ride spot check activities, protecting children from online exploitation through the provincial strategy to protect children from sexual abuse and exploitation on the internet grant. In addition, $71.8 million has been invested to enhance security and expand and modernize services to the public at the Brampton Courthouse. Thank you, Attorney General Downey. We continue to work to strengthen public safety. Some of the community safety issues we face today are radically different from the ones we faced even a decade ago. Addressing gun and gang violence remains a top priority for our government, which is why we launched a comprehensive guns, gangs, and violence reduction strategy. Our government has made a commitment to come down hard on gun and gang violence. We also know that some of the best solutions to prevent crime and keep our communities safe are developed locally, which is why our government will invest $195 million over 3 years to help police address community-based public safety issues through the province's Community Safety and Policing Grant Program. $181 million from this program, or over 90% of our investment, will go towards tackling local priorities as identified by police services and their community partners. After all, these are the people who know best what they need to support the safety and well-being of our communities. Today, I am pleased to announce that Peel Region Police will receive approximately $17 million through the Community Safety and Policing Grant to support this community mobilization program. Ontarians must feel secure in their homes and safe in our streets and community spaces. The Community Mobilization Program does an excellent job improving the lives of residents by preventing and combating crime through strong community policing. Gun and gang violence is a complex community safety issue that we must fight with every tool at our disposal. In addition to funding community mobilization programs, Peel Regional Police has also been allocated $1.5 million over 3 years to address violent crime in Peel Region as part of Ontario's Guns, Gangs and Violence Reduction Strategy. Today's investment builds on the approximately $1.5 million we are already investing in partnership with the federal government to combat gun and gang violence across our province. This also includes approximately $1.9 million that Ontario has committed to create an intensive firearm bail team in Peel to focus on bail hearings and proceedings from firearms offences in the GTA beginning in 2020. Crime, and especially gun and gang violence, does not respect municipal boundaries. And gun and gang violence is interconnected, so that many other issues are critical when we look at how we can end it. One example is human trafficking. In Canada, 60% of human trafficking happens right here in Ontario. We know its proceeds help fund criminal activity, including guns and gangs, and it's a vicious cycle that needs to stop, which is why it is so important to put resources directly into the hands of local police services across Ontario. Frontline officers are the experts in maintaining public safety and are primary partners in keeping Ontario communities safe. The Community Safety and Policing Grant Program is another way our government is working hand in hand with the community to get tougher on criminals and smarter on preventing crime. And I'm now pleased to introduce the chair of the Region of Peel. Nando, can you join me at the podium?
Sylvia, thank you very much. Premier, what a privilege to have you here in the Region of Peel. Solicitor General, Attorney General, and I've got some colleagues here from the board as well. Of course, my two mayors that are going to speak a little bit later, but I do want to acknowledge my other colleagues on the Police Services Board, Mr. Zatia, Boughton, Chatha, and Howe, that are here as well. Well, what a great day for Peel and what a great day for the Police Services Board. You know, it's an honor to welcome Premier Ford here. When he and I first spoke at AMO, we're going back several months now, you got to appreciate the problems and the challenges this government had. I'm reminded, Premier, as someone that's nonpartisan, I've never been a member of a political party in my life, in my fourth decade of politics, you got to appreciate the situation people find themselves in. And when Peter Bethlen-Falvey wrote that great treatise in the paper that says the government spends 40 million more a day than comes in, well, that's a challenge for all of us. And what I said to the Premier was, we're here to help you work against that challenge, but we've got to do it together. And I've got to tell you, in the Region of Peel, Premier, in the last little while, we've had meetings with your Solicitor General to talk about this funding. I tell you, Sylvia Jones is the duck on the water. It's an analogy I use with the chief all the time. I think she's just calmly going about her business, but those little flippers under the water are moving, and look what you've brought us today. So you've been a real champion for Peel, and we're very, very grateful to you. We've met with all sorts of ministers right here in Peel. I just recently, Premier, in our offices, Minister Sakaria, to try and get rid of some red tape in government. We met with Minister Tabolo, all the work that he's doing on the health file, the mental health file. We had Minister Clark here several times talking about making government leaner and more efficient. And most recently, Jim Pine to talk about the healthcare services and what we can do. So, Premier, this great opportunity that I can thank you for listening. We still have a lot of work to do. Doesn't mean we're always going to agree, but at least we listen, we talk, we work together, and marvelous announcements like this come from it. So, Premier, thank you very much for being on the right track. We are grateful to you on behalf of the Region of Peel and the Police Services Board, and we have much more work to do. And I want to hear some applause. This was a big announcement, a lot of money. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Nando, for your enthusiasm. To the Premier, to the Solicitor General, to the Attorney General, thank you so much for this announcement, this much-needed investment in public safety in Peel Region. One of the first tragedies that I saw after taking over as mayor in Brampton was November 13th. Jason Remekeshan was shot and killed on the 410. Bullets do not differentiate between innocent bystanders and gang members. In this tragic case, they got their intended target a week later. Gang activity is a real problem throughout the GTA. And I want to thank the Premier, I want to thank this government for recognizing this challenge. And we have the best among the best police officers in the country. We've got a Chief Nishan who is brilliant and dedicated, a workaholic towards keeping our community safe, but they need the resources to do their job. I'm a big believer that with the resources, they can do wonders in keeping us safe, giving us that peace of mind. You can have everything else in your community, but if you don't have peace of mind, it's a giant hole. And if we give them the tools to do their job, they will do so honorably. And this is an important step towards public safety. And I want to personally thank the Premier for hearing our call. I think we've been asking about gun and gang funding repeatedly over the last year, and it's so reassuring to know we have a provincial government that has our back on this battle against gun and gang activity. Because it's not a Toronto problem, it's not a Brampton problem, it's a GTA-wide problem. I have an interesting lens as mayor of Brampton, as a member of the Police Services Board on this challenge, and what I've learned over the last year is never underestimate how sophisticated gangs are. Never underestimate how they appreciate where there is diminished resources, where there is a more, unfortunately, convenient place to engage in this activity. Well, with this help, you're helping ensure that Peel Region is not a convenient place for another targeted shooting. You're ensuring that we have the tools to fight this insidious activity. So on behalf of the residents of Brampton, Premier, I just want to say thank you for this investment. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and I apologize in advance for my voice, but I do want to thank Premier Ford, Solicitor General Jones, and Attorney General Downey to Mississauga and thank them for reaffirming their commitment to enhancing community safety right here in Mississauga. Welcome to Mississauga, by the way, and of course to Peel. As elected officials, it is our job to ensure that the police have the resources they need to keep our city and, of course, our officers safe. And as a member of the Peel Police Board and as the mayor of the 6th largest city, I see some real challenges that Chief Nish and Peel Police deal with on a daily basis. It is not an easy job. Our officers put their lives on the line to keep our city safe, and I want to thank them for their courage and their bravery. The reality is that we face some real challenges here in Peel when it comes to curbing guns and gang violence. Challenges that over the course of the next year and beyond will require all levels of government to step up and to take action. And I want to thank the province for doing just that and recognizing that we cannot do this alone and that there is still much more to do. 69% of the guns seized here in Peel were illegal and have been smuggled in from across the border in the United States. We are seeing more innocent teens like Jonathan Davis getting caught in the crossfire and losing their lives as a result of guns and gang violence. We are seeing more semi-automatic weapons, and as a result, more rounds being discharged in our streets. We know that gangs don't respect postal codes. And over the past year, we have seen more violent crimes spilling over our borders, including along the 400 series highways. And in response, we've seen our police forces, Peel, Toronto, York, and beyond, working together like never before to get criminals off the streets. By no means am I trying to paint a grim picture here. Solvency rates amongst Peel police are amongst the highest in the country. And when you look at the statistics, Mississauga remains one of the safest cities in Canada, and we're going to keep it that way. But we can't ignore the spike in gang violence, the evolving complexity of many of the investigations, and the changing landscape of gang violence, drugs, and of course, human trafficking. From how these organized crime and drug rings operate to the technology that they use to evade police and avoid detection. I know Mayor Brown joins me in calling for targeted investments into a guns and gangs unit for Peel, similar to that of the growing urban cities like Toronto and Ottawa. This is something we don't just want, but we need here in Peel. So once again, we do thank the province for investing in Peel Police, their dedication for keeping the residents of Mississauga and Brampton safe, and we look forward to continuing to work with you to keep our city streets safe. Thank you. Thank you.